Hey everyone, in today's video, I'm going to share some of my favorite read alouds for teaching kindergarten, first, and second graders all about honesty. Now, I have done a ton of picture book suggestions in the past. In fact, I have a whole playlist that looks like this right here, and you can see that I have mentor text suggestions and picture book suggestions for writing tips, for reading tips, and in the past few months, I've really focused on social emotional learning. So you can see I have some for teaching self-control, teaching about empathy, how to be a good friend, resolving conflict, and so much more. So if you're ever looking for picture book suggestions, just head over to that playlist. And if you don't see one for a specific topic or skill you're looking for, let me know down in the comments of any of my videos, and I will see if I can make a quick list for you. And today we are talking all about honesty, so if you want to see the books I picked for this, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and let's get started. Honesty is an important character skill that, all people should have, but it is something that throughout our lifetime, throughout most people's lifetime, will kind of waver as you get to different scenarios, different situations. So in K through 2, we're really just introducing honesty to them, and many of your students will have heard what it means to be honest or not to lie before. So in my K through 2 classrooms, I teach that honesty is speaking truthfully and acting truthfully, even when it's difficult to do so. And I really like to highlight both the speaking truthfully, so being honest when you say words, but also that acting truthfully as well, that kind of comes with like stealing, sneakiness, lying by omission, things like that as well. So with these 5 books I'm going to share, it'll touch upon different parts of honesty. With all that being said, the very first picture book I'm going to share is not a physical one I have in front of me because it is the longtime fable, The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Now there are tons of different versions of this available online, different picture books available. Any of them will work as long as it tells, the basics of that fable. And actually, if you look online, there's some fun ones. I think there's like The Boy Who Cried Bigfoot, The Boy Who Cried something else. There's, again, all sorts of different versions. But I'm sure many of you are familiar with the moral of the fable, and that is that this little boy kept crying wolf and he was lying, right? He was saying there's a wolf when there really wasn't. And what happens if you continue to lie and lie and lie, people aren't going to believe you even when you are telling the truth. Because of course, in the fable, at the end of the story, there actually was a real wolf, and he was telling everybody and he really needed help, but nobody believed him because he had lied all those other times. He had broken their trust. So of course, that story is a great one to use to really teach students the meaning of your word and what, being truthful really can do to other people. It doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone else. And there's consequences for those who are lying all the time because people might not believe them. Book number 2 I love to use when teaching all about honesty is The Empty Pot by Demi. The Empty Pot is a great book for teaching about honesty. It is about a little boy named Ping a long time ago in China. And Ping loved flowers. He was a great gardener. He would plant his flowers everywhere. Now, the emperor was about to retire. He was very old and he needed to choose a successor. So he decided he was going to give everyone some special flower seeds, and whoever can show their best flower will be the one to be the successor. So all these children were so excited. They went, they got their seeds, and they planted it in their pot. Now Ping got his too, and he filled it very carefully with some nice soil, and he took care of his seed. He transferred the seeds because they weren't growing. He went through the spring, through the summer, through the winter. A whole year passed and he still wasn't able to grow anything. Now it was the time where all the kids had to bring their pots, bring their seeds to the emperor to show them what they had grown. And you can see they all had these big, beautiful flowers, but Ping was ashamed. He had an empty pot. He didn't have anything. And he had tried as hard as he could, but he could not get that flower to grow. Ping's father overheard him feeling very ashamed and told him, "Don't worry, you did your best, and your best is always going to be good enough to present to the emperor." So that's another important lesson, trying your best, even if it's not what everybody else, did. The emperor looked at all the flowers one by one, and while they were all beautiful, the emperor was frowning. And then finally Ping came up to him with his head held in shame. He thought he might be punished, but the emperor said, "Why did you bring an empty pot?" And he explained what happened. He explained how he planted the seed. He took care of it. And all the other kids were like, oh my gosh, you're not going to bring an empty pot to the emperor, are you? But at the end, the emperor has a big smile. And he said, guess what? I gave everybody rotten seeds. They'd all been cooked. It was impossible for them to grow. So all these other children must have lied and changed the seeds. But Ping came up, told the truth, and he was chosen as the successor. This book is a classic. It's been around forever, and what I love about it when it comes to teaching about honesty is Ping doesn't just tell the truth, right? Of course he does tell the truth even when it's really hard and he has to look around him and he sees all these other kids have these huge flowers growing out of their pots and he's like, what did I do wrong? But you know what? I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna tell him I tried my hardest, and he's not going to lie. He's going to act truthfully, right? He's not just speaking his truth, but he's also acting truthfully because those other kids clearly planted different seeds. They didn't use that seed. But also what I like about it is it shows what being honest really says about a person, because the emperor then chooses Ping to be the next emperor. The emperor explains that, you know, these character traits of being honest, even when it was difficult, having the courage to come forward and be honest, all of these things together really show what type of person Ping is, and that person would make a great leader. So if this one's not already in your library, it is a definite add to the list. Book number 3 that I love for teaching about honesty is A Bike Like Sergio's by Maribeth Boltz. I love this book. A Bike Like Sergio's by Maribeth Boltz is about a little boy who doesn't have a bike. And everybody has a bike just like him. His friend Sergio has this great bike, and you know what? He just runs along inside. So him and his friend, they go into the grocery store, they get some football cards, there's a lady in line, you can actually see right here the little dollar, and as the lady starts to walk away, she drops the bill on the ground. So he scoops it up, but she's already out the door. He doesn't chase her because, you know, he thinks it's only $1. That's when he gets home and you can see his mom is really busy, they have all the other kids here, they're all playing around, and he goes home later at night and he finds out that that dollar bill was not just $1, it's $100. And that's when his hands start shaking and he starts to think, wait a second, this money could get me a bike just like Sergio's. I could have my very own bike. When his dad gets home from late night at work after working all day, he pretends he's sleeping, but he's really thinking about that $100 bill. He keeps it in his backpack, and while he's at school, he can't really pay attention. All he's thinking about is the bike he's gonna buy with that money. He's so excited. At home, his mom is making a grocery list, but you know, they don't have enough money, so she's crossing out things that maybe they don't need. And she asks him, you know, on your way home tomorrow, can you pick up some orange juice at the same grocery store he was at before? But he starts to feel, you know, a little sweaty. He's like, what if the lady's there? What if she's back looking for this money? And he starts to take a peek at the money and he can't find it. So he decides he needs to go out the door and find the money. He retraces all his steps from school to the bike shop. He finds leaves, but he cannot find the money. He starts to cry. That money is gone. Another day at school, and all he's thinking about is that $100 bill that he had lost. Then, when he's back at school, he sees, wait a second, it was in another pocket. He's rich again. He has to get that bike. He runs to Sunny's as fast as he can to get the orange juice his mom asked, and guess who he runs into? It's the same lady who dropped that money. She reaches into her purse, and he remembers what it feels like to have that money gone. He remembers that money is not his, and instead of buying the juice, he runs back out to follow her, and he goes right up to her and says, "Excuse me," and gives her the money back. She thanks Ruben and says that he has blessed her, and I like this part too because it talks about his mixed up feelings. He's both happy because of what he's done, but he's also feeling a little empty because, you know, that bike was right in his grasp. He could have purchased it, even though the money wasn't his, so he did the right thing. But it's not always easy to do the right thing, which is important. And then when he goes home, he tells his mom and his dad the whole story and everything that happened, and they explain how proud they are of him. The end. Again, this is another great one showing all about honesty. I love it because in this book, he actually goes home and he tells the truth. He gives the money back to the woman and he tells the truth to his parents and they feel really proud of him. But also in this book, you can kind of see the feelings that take over when you lie. And it's a good thing to point out to students how sometimes when you're dishonest, you know, he's hiding that money in his backpack and he's kind of thinking about it all day long and it doesn't make him feel too great. So you do want students to kind of tune into that side of it too. When you tell a lie or you're doing something dishonest, you'll probably have this icky feeling maybe in your tummy or somewhere and it doesn't feel great. Basically, it's our subconscious telling us, you know, we're not really doing something we should be doing. And once he does tell the truth, he feels so much better. Book number 4 I love for teaching all about honesty is this one right here, Pig the Fibber by Aaron Blabey. Now, I will say before I dive into what this book is about, this one, while it is cute and gets the point across, isn't like a well-rounded book. In my opinion. What I mean is I wouldn't use this book alone to teach about honesty. The Empty Pot and A Bike Like Sergio's, even, you know, A Boy Who Cried Wolf, are a little more well-rounded and tell more sides of honesty. But let me show you what I mean by this one. Pig the Fibber. It says this book belongs to, no, it's pigs, not Trevor. So I love these books. It's a little rhyming book, but it says he would often tell lies to get his own way. So when Pig got in trouble, he would blame it on Trevor. Look at Trevor. Poor Trevor. So when he would rip things up and make a mess, he would say it's Trevor. When he knocked over flower vases and broke things, he would say it's Trevor. When he ate somebody's old wedding dress, he said it was Trevor. Then he decides to be sneaky and that he's going to get these jumbo dog biscuits way up here. He's going to make a whole plan to steal them. But first, to do that, he needs to tell a good lie. So he does. He lets out a silly little noise here, and he blames it on Trevor. And so the owners make Trevor go outside, and while he does it, Pig the pug goes up and steals those biscuits in a not very safe way. And guess what was behind the biscuits? A bowling ball. The bowling ball fell on his head, and bonk. He learned his lesson about telling the truth and maybe not being so sneaky. So as you can see, this is a really cute book. It's a great one to add to the collection, especially if your students already like Pig the Pug and if you've already talked about honesty before. But what I like about this one is it kind of brings in that aspect of blaming someone else, which is another way, you know, students might lie or might have experienced something like that before, where instead of taking the blame because they don't want to get in trouble, they just, you know, shift it. They blame it on someone else. And it also kind of talks about sneaking around. You know, he's trying to sneak up and get the treats from way up high. In terms of that part, I also like to point out that, you know, the bowling ball, while it's funny and the kids will laugh, I like to point out that maybe the treats were really up high because adults are supposed to get them because they know that that bowling ball isn't safe and is up there and, you know, could hurt somebody. So that's why the adults do it. Oftentimes, if kids are kind of sneaking around, they might find things that they're not supposed to find or get hurt because an adult was supposed to do it. And if they just used their words, asked an adult, someone could help. So definitely a cute one, especially if you have other books that teach about honesty too. Last but not least, book number 5 I love to use when teaching about honesty is Ruthie and the NotSoTeeny Lie by Laura Rankin. Now, I don't have a physical copy of this book. When I'm, you know, researching best books for any sort of skill, I actually usually order and, you know, read online and watch YouTube videos, like 15 to 20 books, and narrow it down to about 4 or 5 or 6. So this is one that I didn't yet order on Amazon, but I did watch 2 or 3 times on YouTube, and I chose it for a few reasons. Just to give you a quick rundown about what it's about, Ruthie and the NotSoTeeny Lie is about a little girl named Ruthie who finds a mini camera while she's playing at the recess yard. Now, she loves tiny little things. She has a little dollhouse, and she's like, this is my lucky day. I found this tiny little camera and I love it. So she starts using it, and one of her classmates comes over and, you know, is pretty upset. He's like, I'm not gonna smile and say cheese for this camera. That's my camera. And she's like, no, it's not. She kind of panics and she doesn't want to get rid of it. And she gets very defensive. So she says it's her camera And he said, no, it's mine. I swear I got it for my birthday. And she immediately then lies again. She's like, no, I got it for my birthday. And when they have to go in from recess, the teacher sees that they're arguing, and the teacher decides, since, you know, both of them are saying it's theirs, she's just going to keep it in her desk until they can figure it out. Now, as the camera is in the desk, Ruthie experiences a wide range of feelings, which I like talking about again, kind of like with a bike like Sergio's. You know, it preoccupies her mind. She knows she lied about it, and she's feeling all sorts of ways. She can't pay attention during math class. She's starting to feel a little guilty. She's worried that if she tells the truth, you know, is anybody gonna like her? Is her friend going to be angry at her? Lots and lots of feelings. So she ends up going home that night and telling her parents, and she feels a little bit better, and they tell her, you know what to do. You know the right thing is to go to your teacher and explain that it's not yours. So it takes a lot of courage, but she does go up to her teacher and she tells her that she lied, and the little boy gets his camera back. I think this is such a great illustration of what honesty and dishonesty might look like, especially in grades K through 2. You know, Ruthie doesn't have this big scheme of like lying and sneaking. It's more like she found something she really likes. She wanted it to be hers. And when someone approached her, she didn't think too long about it. She was just like, no, it's mine. She doesn't want to let go of it. But even if you do lie, you can still then come forward, you can tell the truth, and all those feelings of guilt and everything, hopefully people will forgive you, which they should and usually do, especially in a scenario like this one, and then she can feel better about the situation. So for me, I did order that one. It's on the way to my house, but as always, all of these books can be found at your local library, and there's tons of readings of them on YouTube. So there you have 5 of my favorite books for teaching about honesty in primary classrooms. As always, I would love to know, are any of these new to you, or do you have other picture books you love for teaching this skill? Let me know down in the comments. Like I said, this video will be added to my picture book suggestions playlist, so feel free to go there and check out other picture book suggestions for all sorts of skills. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so I know. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of any new video. Bye.